Sergeant Colin fanned himself with his clipboard, and then glared at the assembled guards. He coughed. "Right then, people," he said. "Settle down."
"We are settled down, Fred," said Corporal Nobbs.
"That's Sergeant to you, Nobby," said Sergeant Colin.
"Why do we have to sit down for anyway? We didn't used to do all this. I feel right Burke sitting down listening to you all going about."
"We gotta do it proper, now that there's more of us," said Sergeant Colin. "Right. Right. Okay. We are welcome to the guard today, Lance Constable Detritus, don't salute! And Lance Constable Cuddy, also Lance Constable Anqua. We hope you'll have a long and what's that you've got there, Cuddy?"
"What?"
said Cuddy, innocently. "I can't help noticing that you still has got there what appears to be a double-headed throwing axe, Lance Constable, despite what I vouchsafed to you earlier re-guard rules."
Cultural weapon, Sergeant?"
said Cuddy hopefully. "You can leave it in your locker. Guards carry one sword short and one truncheon. With the exception of detritus," he added mentally. "Firstly, because even the longest sword nestled in the troll's huge hand like a toothpick, and secondly, because until they'd got this saluting business sorted out, he wasn't about to see a member of the watch nail his own hand to his own ear. He'd have a truncheon and like it. Even then, he'd probably beat himself to death. Trolls and dwarfs. Dwarfs and trolls, he didn't deserve it, not at his time of life. And that wasn't the worst of it." He coughed again. When he read from his clipboard, it was in the sing-song voice of someone who learned his public speaking at school. "Right," he said again, a little uncertainly. "So, says here..." "Sergeant?" "No, it's you, Corporal Carrot. Yes?" "Aren't you forgetting something, Sergeant?" said Carrot. I don't know," said Colin cautiously. "Am I?" "About the recruits, Sarge. Something they've got to take?" Carrot prompted. Sergeant Colin rubbed his nose. Let's see, they had, as per standing orders, taken and signed for 1 shirt, male chain, 1 helmet, iron and copper, 1 breastplate, iron except in the case of Lance Constable Anqua, who would need to be fitted special, and Lance Constable Detritus, who'd signed for a hastily adapted piece of armor which had once belonged to a war elephant, 1 truncheon, oak, 1 emergency pike or halbert, 1 crossbow, 1 hourglass, 1 short sword except for Lance Constable Detritus, and 1 badge, Office of Night Watchman's Copper. "I think they've got the lot, Carrot," he said. "All signed for. Even Detritus got someone to make an X for him." "They've got to take the oath, Sarge." "Oh, have they?" "Yes, Sarge. It's the law." Sergeant Colin looked embarrassed. It probably was the law at that. Carrot was much better at this sort of thing. He knew the laws of Ankh-Morpork by heart. He was the only person who did. All Colin knew was he'd never taken an oath when he joined. And as for Nobby, the best he'd ever get to an oath was something like, "Bugger this for a game of soldiers." All right then," he said. "You've all got to take the oath, and Corporal Carrot will show you how. Did you take the oath when you joined us, Carrot?" "Oh yes, Sarge. Only no one asked me, so I gave it to myself, quiet-like." "Oh, right. Carry on, then." Carrot stood up and removed his helmet. He smoothed down his hair. Then he raised his right hand. "Raise your right hands, too," he said. That's the one nearest Lance Constable Anqua, Lance Constable Detritus, and repeat after me." He closed his eyes, and his lips moved for a moment, as though he was reading something off the inside of his skull. "I, comma, square bracket, recruit's name, square bracket, comma." He nodded at them. "You say it." They chorused a reply. Anqua tried not to laugh. "Do solemnly swear by square bracket recruit's deity of choice, square bracket." Anqua couldn't trust herself to look at Carrot's face. "To uphold the laws and ordinances of the city of Ankh-Morpork, serve the public trust, comma, and defend the subjects of his, stroke, her, bracket, delete whichever is inappropriate, bracket, majesty, bracket, name of reigning monarch, bracket." Anqua tried to look at a point behind Carrot's ear. On top of everything else, Detritus's patient monologue was already several dozen words behind everyone else. Without fear, favor, or thought of personal safety, to pursue evildoers and protect the innocent, laying down my life, if necessary, in the cause of said duty, so help me, aforesaid deity, gods save the king, queen, delete whichever is inappropriate, Angua subsided gratefully, and then did see Carrot's face. There were unmistakable tears trickling down his cheek.
Right. That's it then. Thank you,
said Sergeant Colon after a while.
Protect the innocent, command.
In your own time, Lance Constable Detritus.
The sergeant cleared his throat and consulted the clipboard again.
Now, Grabber Hoskins has been let out of jail again, so be on the lookout. You know what he's like when he's had his celebratory drink. And bloody Coalface the Troll beat up 4 men last night.
In the cause of said duty,
Where's Captain Vimes? Demanded Nobby. He should be doing this.
Captain Vimes is sorting things out, said Sergeant Colon. It's not easy, learning civilianing. Right.
He glanced at his clipboard again, and back to the guardsmen. Men. His lips moved as he counted. There, sitting between Nobby and Constable Cuddy, was a very small, raggedy man whose beard and hair were so overgrown and matted together that he looked like a ferret peering out of a bush.
Me, aforesaid deity, full stop.
Oh no, he said. What are you doing here now? Thank you, Detritus. Don't salute. You can sit down now.
Mr. Carrot breaks me in, said Here Now. Protective custody, Sarge, said Carrot.
Again?
Colon unhooked the cell keys from their nail over the desk and tossed them to the thief.
All right, cell 3. Take the keys in with you. We'll holler if we need them back.
Oh, you're tough, Mr. Colon, said Here Now, wandering down the steps to the cells. Colon shook his head.
Worst thief in the world, he said.
He doesn't look that good, said Angua.
No, I mean the worst, said Colon, as in not good at it.
Remember when he was going to go all the way up to Don Manifeston to steal the fire from the gods? Said Nobby. And I said, but we've got it here now. We've had it for thousands of years, said Carrot. And he said, that's right, so it has antique value. Author's note. Fingers Master, the first thief in the world, stole fire from the gods, but he was unable to fence it. It was too hot. Further author's note. He got really burned on that deal. An author's note.
Poor old chap,
said Sergeant Colon.
Okay, what else have we got? Yes, Carrot?
Now they've got to take the king's shilling, said Carrot.
Right. Yes, okay.
Carrot fished in his pocket and took out 3 sequin-sized Ankh-Morpork dollars, which had about the gold content of seawater. He tossed them one at a time to the recruits.
This is called the King's Shilling, he said, glancing at Carrot. Don't know why. You gotta give it when you join. A regulation, see? Shows you've joined.
He looked embarrassed for a moment and then coughed.
Right. Load of some trolls, he corrected himself. Got some kind of march down Short Street. Lance Constable Detritus, don't let him salute! Right. What's this all about then?
Troll New Year,
said Detritus. Is it? Yeah, I suppose we get to learn about this sort of thing now. And says here there's this grit-sucker, this dwarf rally, or something.
Battle of Coombe Valley Day, said Constable Cuddy. Famous victory over the trolls. He looked smug, insofar as anything could be seen behind the beard.
Yeah? From ambush,
grunted Detritus, glowering at the dwarf. What? It was the trolls, Cuddy began.
Shut up, said Colin. Look, it says here, they're marching up Short Street.
He turned the paper over.
Is this right?
Trolls going one way, dwarfs going the other, said Carrot. Now there's a parade you don't want to miss, said Nobby. What's wrong? Said Angua. Carrot waved his hand vaguely in the air. Oh dear, it's going to be dreadful. We must do something. Dwarves and trolls get along like a house on fire, said Nobby. Ever been in a burning house, miss? Sergeant Colin's normally red face had gone pale pink. He buckled on his sword belt and picked up his truncheon. Remember, he said, let's be careful out there. Yeah, said Nobby. Let's be careful to stay in here.